Anthem. Mr. Dennis.
Thank you, Scott. It's 1st and 10 from the 55. The call of Canadian football comes to Sam Boyd Stadium in Las Vegas. It's showtime in the neon night of the Nevada desert. The Canadian Football League hits the bright lights of the marquees in Vegas. Pay your money and take your chances in the city of the slots. But tonight in Las Vegas comes a human slot machine that pays off almost every time. Slotback Ray Elgard is just 6 catches from a new league record. No matter how you shuffle the deck, the number 34 always seems to come out on top. And linebacker Greg Battle is the pit boss of a young and inexperienced Posse team that has yet to lose in 3 games, as close as a sure bet you'll find. In Saskatchewan, they're putting their money on number 12, and so far it's bringing good fortune. The career of quarterback Tom Burgess comes full circle with his return to the Green Riders. Tonight, the curtain goes up as the Posse and Riders bring their act to Vegas. You're looking at the heart of the Strip in downtown Las Vegas. Bright lights, big-name acts on glittering marquees, everywhere you look, where people from all around the world come to try their luck and seek good fortune. It's hotter than a pepper's trout, as Nancy Sinatra used to say, and here are the current conditions. 106 degrees Fahrenheit, that converts to 41 Celsius. A warm welcome for Canadian football on opening day here at Sam Boyd Stadium. The Posse versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Posse are favored right now by 6.5 points, mainly because they're accustomed to this warm weather. Both teams coming off big comeback victories last week. Saskatchewan overcoming a 21-0 deficit against Calgary because this man, Don Narcisse, caught a game-winning touchdown on the last play of regulation time. For the Posse, they preserved their first CFL win when this man, Greg Battle, stripped the ball from Sacramento quarterback David Archer, thwarting their last-second scoring drive. The Posse are confident. If you listen to their assistant coach, special teams coach Paul Reinbold, they are confident, bordering on cocky. We'll see how that plays out. For their thoughts on tonight's game, let's go to the broadcast booth and Chris and Dan.
Thanks, Mark. Good evening, everybody. We've got a matchup of a storied established CFL franchise against a brand new one, a matchup of an established quarterback against a rookie. Let's start with Tom Burgess of Saskatchewan. Helped the Green Riders to a Grey Cup in '89. He's back 5 years later. Can he help them be a contender again?
Certainly can, Chris. You take what he brings to this team. Experience, poise, composure. You parlay that with that comeback victory last week. This team right now has a tremendous amount of confidence under his leadership that they're capable of doing just about anything.
And apparently that's the same way the Posse feel about their rookie quarterback, Anthony Convillo. He led them to 2 preseason wins, and last week they opened their first CFL season with a victory in Sacramento.
Well, he comes in, he has so much quick foot speed. He throws well, he reads defenses somewhat well, but again, he knows he's going to make a few mistakes, but he has the one thing you need in the Canadian Football League as a quarterback to make up for everything, and that's that quick scrambling ability, and he has that.
A lot made of the temperature. You played at minus 40, now it's 40. What would you rather play in?
I would think minus 40 is a little bit better. At least the more you run, the warmer you get, the better it's going to feel to you. In this case, at 40 above, it really does drain it and take it out of you.
Once an Eskimo, always an Eskimo, but we think we're in for a dandy tonight. Mark?
Well, Chris, Posse football isn't the only form of entertainment you'll get tonight. We've got showgirls, Posse riders, even Melinda. We'll give you that later, but right now it's time for the formal part of our ceremonies, and let's join Sam Boyd Stadium announcer Dan Bickmore to introduce the national anthem.
Canadian national anthem.
Regulators.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With growing hearts we see thee rise, the true and strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we
stand on guard for thee. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please remain standing for the singing of the American National Anthem. Performed by Dionne Warwick.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the free.
Dionne Warwick with a classic rendition of the American National Anthem. That Canadian National Anthem, probably a version you've never heard before. We'll work on that as we're ready for football here at Sam Boyd Stadium in the Nevada desert. You see Ron Meyer, the head coach of the Posse, looking to extend his team's winning streak right now to 4 straight games. That includes 2 in preseason. Nobody expected this team to be as good as it is. They're young, they're fast, and they are brash, and they're doing well, picking up this Canadian form of football faster than most observers thought they would. The Saskatchewan Roughriders still waiting inside of their air-conditioned locker room. Head coach of the team, Ray Yauch, told me this morning that they've been preparing for this game right from day 1 of training camp, making sure that they work out in the heat, they drink plenty of fluids, and they've come here with 4 IV intravenous units just in case there is severe problems with heat prostration. And speaking of the weather, the heat is on. As I mentioned, 106 degrees Fahrenheit, 41 degrees Celsius, and braving the elements is part of playing in the CFL. This was the scene at the Western Final last year. Wally Buono's Stampeders succumbing to the minus 34 degrees Celsius wind chill versus Edmonton. And CFL folklore full of such tales. There's the Fog Bowl, played over 2 days. The Mud Bowl. The legend has it Buddy Tinsley nearly drowned in a puddle. CFL football, the Ice Bowl, 1977. The Alouettes apparently not wearing those tacks in it. Here you see Taylor Field. This was in the preseason. The game had to be called off with about 2 minutes to go because of this incredible torrential thunderstorm. But the CFL has never seen heat like this here in Las Vegas. 41 Celsius converts to 106 degrees Fahrenheit. It has been over 100 degrees now for 29 straight days here in the Nevada desert. We'll see how the football players cope with this. You see now the Saskatchewan Roughriders introducing their team. The players staying as close as they can to the air-conditioned locker room, the corridor that leads from their locker room. The players, though, telling me that they have not made any significant changes in their preparations for this game in terms of equipment. They're wearing the same sweaters. They have small perforations in the jerseys, but don't allow too much breath. There you see Ray Yock coming back to a head coaching position in the CFL after years as an assistant, a stint in the United States, a Grey Cup champion himself, a man considered a father figure to his players, replacing Don Matthews, who of course is now the head coach of the Baltimore CFLers.
At fullback from Bowling Green, number 38, John Daniels.
And of course, a busy day for CBC Sports tomorrow. The Molson Indy coming your way live at 1:30 Eastern Time. Brian Williams will bring us up to date on what we can expect and the results of the qualifying today on the track in Toronto. Here come the Posse. They're introducing the team that will make its Canadian Football League debut here at Sam Boyd Stadium in Las Vegas. And now let's go up to the broadcast booth and join the men who will call today's game, Chris Cuthbert and Dan Kepley. Gentlemen.
Thanks very much, Mark. Sam Boyd Stadium has been dubbed Death Valley. The Rough Riders and the Posse just about set for an old-fashioned Western dust-up, kept under the shadows of the Sierra Nevadas. What a great vantage point we have here for this football game. And although the temperature seems imposing, as Ron Meyer told us, once the sun goes down, it gets comfortable here.
It cools off. There's the leader of the Dalton gang right there. He's taking them out there, and he's got these guys believing right now that they can accomplish anything. And if you have that belief, look out tonight. It's going to be a tough physical battle.
I loved his comment about the new franchise. He says it's like when you get into a dark room and you're looking for the light switch. Sometimes you have trouble finding the switch, and sometimes your finger ends up getting stuck in the light socket. But he puts on that facade, but I think he's very happy with the development of this team early. Over half of the roster, 24 years of age or under. So they went with youth, they went with speed, they went with talent, and so far it looks like a nice mix.
And when you put all that together, those elements in the equation, the final product is production on the field, and they're getting it.
And there are the Posse Horsemen. And the fans on their feet, and I think some of the fans were waiting till that sun went down behind the mountains, because they tell us, although you're not seeing a large crowd on the far stands, there are at least 500 to 1,000 people still lined up for tickets outside the stadium.
Well, it was very similar to that scene right at the end of a Field of Dreams. When you looked out there, if you build it, they will come. And as you look, the cars were backed all the way up, and they are still backed up out there waiting to come in. So obviously, these are native people, and they're ready to come to the football game once it cools off a bit.
Well, there's Ray Yock, back in the CFL as a head coach. He's been with the league associated for the last 20 years. Third on the all-time coaching list in victories.
I owe Coach Yock just everything that I've ever acquired in the CFL, because he was the head coach of the Edmonton Eskimos in 1975 that brought me in, gave me an opportunity to continue a dream and do something that I really love doing.
And there's a great tie between both Ray Yock and Ron Meyer. Yock was a running back and a captain at Iowa in the 50s. Let's listen in as Ray Yock talks to his team.
And this is all part of it right here. We started it, and we're going to finish it. What do you say?
And while Yock was the star running back, Ron Meyer was a defensive back in the same conference for Purdue, so they go way back.
They said at least 30 years they've had confrontations, and it really does come to a real tip tonight when they meet on the opposite sides of the field.
Well, believe it or not, Ray Elgard, one of the toughest guys in the CFL, really got hit with a terrible cold this week. They were worried about his breathing here in the heat of the desert, and was actually a questionable starter as of yesterday, but Elgard's here. That's really not a surprise, and he goes after the record tonight, needing 6 receptions to pass Rocky DiPietro. There is the youngster, Anthony Cavillo, who has won the job as the starting quarterback in Las Vegas, had a terrific second half last week against Sacramento after going 4 for 6 for 46 yards in the first half. He really got on track in the second. So did Tom Burgess. They were down 21-0 until Burgess rallied the Riders second half.
He brought them back. He kept them confident. I was talking to Glenn Suter, the safety, before this game, and he said all they had to do, they went in and said, defensively, we cannot let Calgary score another touchdown or we'll be out of it. If we hold them to 21, we've got a chance to win this ball game, and that was the end results.
Saskatchewan Roughriders won the toss, but they have deferred to the second half. Number 80, bottom of your screen, Tamarick Vanover. He is the marquee player out of Florida State, the national champions. Won't get a chance here as it's Brad Lacombe on the short kick and a short return up to the 38-yard line. And that's where the Las Vegas Posse will put the ball in play for the first time in the history of this franchise on home turf. There is a big offensive line. They average 6'2", 296. 4 of the 5 offensive linemen are out of the Deep South colleges, used to the heat. Great set of receivers. We've talked about Prince Wembley earlier. Whiting, Mayfield, and Harry also can catch the ball. They like Caitlin Hall, a Nevada native, out of the backfield. And this is Hall across the 40 to the 41-yard line. He's stopped after a pickup of close to 4 yards.
One of the main reasons they do like Caitlin Hall, again, he comes out of BYU, and he is very used to catching the ball out of the backfield.
Well, you mentioned Cavillo and his ability to scramble at times. Ron Meyer told us that he made some Flutie-like plays last week. I'm not sure whether he can match what we saw from Doug Flutie earlier tonight in Baltimore.
Very impressed at the press conference yesterday with this guy's confidence. His coach at Utah State was Jim Zorn, the well-known NFL quarterback, and obviously some of that stuff from Jim Zorn has really rubbed off on this young quarterback.
Well, they have called the Rough Riders for a delay of game and moved the yardstick, so Las Vegas looked like they were facing 2nd and 6. And now they're saying dress code violation. We saw that earlier in the Baltimore-Calgary game, so